After the many months of arguing about whether or not it was actually going to happen, basically since the final Splatfest of Splatoon 2, we have confirmation that Splatoon 3 is on the way. Announced at the end of the latest Nintendo Direct for a 2022 release, the 3-minute trailer has already been analysed intently by tons of YouTube videos. Every new weapon, mechanic, hairstyle, or little hint of lore has already been pointed out by someone people actually watch. I don't need to tell you that it leans harder into the post-apocalyptic vibe that was buried a little in earlier games, that it's set in a facsimile of Hong Kong, or that the Order vs Chaos final Splatfest is going to be a factor. That all said, I'm someone who's very excited for Splatoon 3, and as a guy who lives in Japan and teaches English to the game's target audience on a daily basis, I have some predictions about what we might see in Splatoon 3. Everyone loves Callie and Marie, and Pearl and Marina, particularly on certain less than savoury corners of the internet, but I have a feeling Nintendo will go a different direction for the hosts of Splatoon 3. Right now, the biggest, most popular idol group in Japan is the same as the biggest, most popular music act everywhere else in the world, BTS. Kids and adults of seemingly all ages love these guys. No, the female Inkling design with the long tentacle hairdo is much more iconic than any of the male Inklings we've ever seen, but boys can be sexy too. The Hong Kong and Paris stuff in the trailer does suggest that the new game is going to go for a little more of an international vibe. It does make a certain sense that the cultural touchstone might be a Korean one, instead of another cute Japanese pairing.
Co-op campaign.
My first thought when I saw the very start of the trailer was that we might be getting a much more substantive campaign mode this time. I liked the single-player story modes in both Splatoon games, and particularly loved the Octo expansion in the DLC for Splatoon 2. But even with a wealth of content, fun characters, and some interesting lore buried in the collectibles, those modes never felt very substantial. They were all fairly short, with levels that floated in vague, surreal space, and for the most part never felt like a real place. The world we saw in the trailer looked much more like a physical place, and gave me hope that we might see something to get our teeth into in the next game's campaign. I mentioned to other Nintendo fans or Splatoon fans that I want a more substantial single-player mode in the next game. I always hear the same argument. They're not going to put any money into that because it's the multiplayer mode that's more popular and that's the main selling point of the series. But what if the two could be combined? Splatoon did, after all, have a pretty tasty little horde mode in the form of Salmon Run. And what's that at the start of the trailer? A little salmonid companion? Now, I'm not saying that Splatoon 3 is going to be some live service, multiplayer co-op, Nintendo's answer to Destiny thing, but if that does happen, I will 100% claim that I predicted it in advance.
A battle royale.
First moved to Nagano and started teaching English, Splatoon was the game that kids would tell me they liked playing with their friends. Since then, its crown has been usurped by the mighty Fortnite. Splatoon is still popular, but it doesn't compare with the powerful Battle Royale game or similar titles like Apex Legends and PUBG. In the small amount of multiplayer gameplay footage that we saw in the trailer, the biggest change was the way players spawned. Gone was the stationary base, replaced by floating platforms that players seemed able to freely jump from. This is pretty similar to the Battle Bus or Dropship or whatever that most Battle Royale shooters feature. Splatoon could add a unique spin on the formula. The ever-shrinking arena could be achieved in a new way by using the encroaching ink. Nintendo have shown interest in the genre, with Super Mario 35 and Tetris 99. To me, if Nintendo want to launch a hit new multiplayer shooter that the kids are gonna love, a Battle Royale mode just feels almost inevitable. Sarah Lee's saying that these are all things that I want in Splatoon 3. They're just things which, based on what little we know about the game, my own personal knowledge and biases, I kind of suspect are going to be in the game. And, in a year's time, if it turns out that I'm talking absolute garbage, then you can use this video to laugh at me. But when, inevitably, every single word I've said has been the absolute gospel truth, I will, of course, lord it over all of you.